Somebody asked me the other day, it seems kind of like your authenticity work might matter more now than ever. And I totally went off, not in a bad way, but in a passionate way. And so I want to jump on and tell you the two reasons, the two things that have changed in business in the last five-ish years that basically makes you screwed if you don't use authenticity. So the first is people don't have time to build relationships like they used to. In the olden days, there were golf outings, there were steak dinners. These were meant to be able to create that relationship, that trust, and that connection outside of the meeting room so that you could trust and understand who that human was you were doing business with. Well, people don't have time for that anymore. And the biggest inflection point on that was COVID. I mean, actually, I would even go back. I would start in 2008. What happened in 2008 was that we had the financial crisis. And if you were working in corporate America, you might remember everything changed because here's what happened. The first time, it was the very first time where corporations were forced to do layoffs, like in mass. Like before that, in my 10 years plus working at the company, we hadn't done anything, but they were forced to because it was so bad. And then what happened was people started to do two jobs, three jobs as one person. And corporations got addicted to it. They're like, we don't need more people. These people are running so fast, they can do so much more. So that happened in 2008. So people got busier and busier. It was no longer like you had one job. You basically, most people would agree, you have like two or three jobs in your normal day. The second thing was COVID. So then, of course, not only did things become more virtual, so there was a year or so we couldn't go on golf outings, we couldn't fly to San Francisco to have a steak dinner and shake hands and kiss babies. But on top of that, that speed at which work was happening because of 2008 actually got faster because people were like, oh, they don't have to drive into the office. Oh, they can answer my email right at 7 a.m. And like it just got faster and faster and faster. And so what's happened is people barely have time for your email, let alone in 1 hour Zoom call, let alone, hey, can you come out and let's shoot around 18? They just don't. And so you need to create that connection faster. You need to be able to go into email. Like one of my favorites is when I'm trying to get a meeting and I know they have so many people trying to get the same meeting. I might say something like, you probably need a meeting with a speaker, like you need a hole in the head. But I thought I'd try. Or I'll be like, I know this is the most annoying email you've ever gotten. Something that is the thing you would probably say if you had a quarter glass of wine or if you were sitting next to somebody. You have to strategically infuse authenticity, not just in your emails, in your voice messages, in your proposals, in your website language, in your LinkedIn profile where people are stalking you before they meet you. What a great opportunity to fast pass that connection and trust. Things that you would have talked about while you were on the golf course. Put it in your LinkedIn profile. Put it in your opening when you do a sales presentation. So that's number one. People ain't got time for the old methods of connection and trust. Authenticity is your speed pass for that. And then the second thing, duh, AI. Or maybe it's not as obvious to you. So when I started becoming obsessed with this concept of authenticity as a strategy 7 or 8 years ago, like I'm always looking for the boring, the snoozy, the ho hum, and how can I outwit, outplay, outconnect by using authenticity? Some people would see it, but like I had an allergic reaction a lot of people didn't have. That's all changed. Why? Because AI. So now what's happening? That skepticism that I always walked around with, now everybody has it. You know what it feels like. You see that perfectly crafted email with the big words or the M dash or the like fancy titles and subsections and like a proposal. Like, you know, it was AI. And in fact, sometimes it even wasn't. I was talking to my marketing manager and I had given her feedback a couple days ago on some changes to my website. And I said, it looks a little AI. And she said, it actually wasn't AI. So I don't care if it was AI or if it wasn't. In fact, here's a little secret. I write some really authentic stuff using AI. It doesn't matter if it comes from a human or not. People are super skeptical of smart. I say smart sounds suspicious, right? Perfectionism is met with skepticism. We're now living in a world where sounding like you are the smartest person in the room is a detriment. Now, you can't sound like an idiot, but you have to lead with authenticity. Once you lead with that authenticity, but then also show, like, hey, I'm no schmuck. I know what I'm talking about. That's the perfect combination. But just coming in and being like, look at my perfectly crafted email or my RFP response that's so perfect. Bleh. People don't, they also don't have time to read it, right? Back to trend number one. So now, like, authenticity isn't risky, it's required. You have to use it. It is the new thing that not only speed passes connection and trust and make sure that people can do business with you on a foundation that goes well beyond the pros and cons and the widgets and the technology, but also something that makes sure they know, like, you actually sent that email, you actually wrote that proposal, you actually care about their business. So next time you think about, like, I need to be all polished, remember there's somebody else that's going to come in there, be authentic, and take your business. So go and be authentic.